Now, it's 3 months since the Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi was removed from power and a caretaker president put in charge until new elections can be held next year. The upheaval has left the Islamists, who were swept away from power by the head of the army, General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, feeling very disgruntled. There are regular protests held by supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood around Egypt, and they're still calling for the reinstatement of President Morsi. Meanwhile, the new authorities have begun a new process they claim will restore Egypt back on the path of a more inclusive democracy. Well, with me here in the studio are two influential voices inside Egypt today. Lawyer Muna Zulfikar, who is Vice President of the 50-member body known as the G50, which is drawing up a new constitution for Egypt. And we also have Mohammed Shakir, Chairman of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. He's a former diplomat who previously served as Egypt's ambassador here in London. Ambassador Shakir, how can you say that Egypt is committed to a democratic path when a democratically elected party and president have been written out of the picture?
Yes. No, now everyone wants to be involved in this making of this constitution. The making of the constitution where Mona is vice chairperson. Every Egyptian would have liked to be on this committee to draft this constitution. But the committee is, what, about 50, but certainly it will be debated by the public later on. Definitely, the constitution will put to the people. They will have a chance to comment on it.
All right. I'll ask you then. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's the will of the Egyptian people. I mean, you cannot say...
That's what the Muslim Brotherhood, though, say. They say that they and the other Islamist party, Noor, won the vast majority of the votes in the elections.
Yeah, but they made a big failure of their one-year rule. They excluded the opposition. They attacked the judiciary. They attacked the media. Former President Morsi issued a constitutional decree that made his decisions absolutely immune.
So you felt he was authoritarian. All right, so now you are now on this committee, you're the deputy head of it, the vice president, 50 people on it, one Islamist. Is that right, do you think? Because they represent a big body of public opinion in Egypt.
That is not true.
Not a single Muslim Brotherhood member?
No, there are Muslim Brotherhood members and sympathizers who are wearing other hats. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Freedom and Justice Party. They actually were invited and they declined. Now, we have about 5 or 6 or 7, which means like more than 10% of the G50 who are belong to this.
So you think it's a representative body? You believe it is?
I think it is a representative body. It does not have a critical mass that controls it. It has all walks of life in there.
Mohammed Shakir, the authorities surely have to find an accommodation with the Muslim Brotherhood. As I said, they were, in their view and other people's view, they were the clear winners in those democratic elections. There's got to be some accommodation. You can't write them out of the script.
Definitely they will have a role to play in the future, definitely. I don't believe if we have democracy in Egypt, they ought to be represented. But now it's too soon for people to digest what's going on. But I think at one point they will have to be accommodated in a way or another. Because
otherwise, what is the risk of there being an insurgency, even a low-level one? Egypt can't afford that. It would affect the economy.
Yeah.
Zeinab, when they wrote the Brotherhood's constitution that now is suspended, failed, they put in there a ban for the former regime. They banned the former regime from exercising their political rights. We are not doing that. We are writing a constitution that will respect the rule of law, equal rights, equal opportunities for all Egyptians.
And if the Muslim Brotherhood were allowed to stand in elections under whatever guise and they won, they could come back into power under this new constitution?
Theoretically, yes, but I do not think that they have a chance. They ruined all the support and lost the majority of their
How
constituency.
comfortable are you, Muna, serving on a constitutional committee when there was a constitution that was approved in a referendum last year? 64% of people voted for it, admittedly, on a relatively low turnout of 33%. But it's just been chucked out.
Exactly, because this constitution did not respect the equal rights of all citizens. This constitution was a major cornerstone in the polarization and the division among Egyptian people. It provided a source of perpetual conflict, and because it was not based on the modern rules of respecting basic human rights and fundamental freedoms for all.
Not only this, the Constitutional Court itself was surrounded by Morsi's sympathizers and prevented the judges from going in
All right,
into the court.
Shakir, just a final question to you now.
Yes.
You've seen the military,
Yes.
in a sense, back
Yes.
controlling the levers of power
Yes.
in Egypt, and people said, we overthrew the former regime of Hosni Mubarak because it was essentially an army-supported government, and we don't want that anymore. But now you see the Defence Minister, General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, there, and people saying, we want you to run for president. They're back in the picture, aren't they?
Yes, they are back in the picture, and not because of them, but because of the people who want them there.
So Egypt's
Sisi.
comfortable with going back to military rule, effectively?
That is not true. That is not true.
No, but they would accept, maybe, they may accept Sisi. They may accept Sisi because he saved Egypt from a catastrophe.
Do you agree with that?
I think that he obeyed the instructions of the Egyptian people who went down and who, first of all, signed 22 million petitions through Tamarrud, the rebellion, authenticated, signatures saying we want early presidential elections, we do not accept this rule to continue. This is number one. Number two, we went down on the streets and we asked the army to intervene, and they did. So it is not a
So
typical...
the army is...
No, but
Okay,
they
yeah.
they are not now in the driver's seat. I think we have an interim government, we're writing a constitution, we'll have elections, and we
then
will
we'll see.
have a new government.
And Mohammed Shakir says we will see. Ambassador Mohammed Shakir and Muna Zulfikar, thank you both very much for coming to talk to us, two very influential voices there in Egypt discussing that with us. Now, Britain